Hi, everyone. It's hard to believe that it is April and we are already getting close to the end of the year, but we still have a few months left of the school year, and I hope that you're still looking for some great books to read. And of course, that's why I'm here to share some of those books with you. Before we get to that, I do have a couple of announcements that I want to mention, and so I'll do that first. The first announcement is one that maybe you already are aware of. You may have seen this link on Schoology, or if you visited our homepage for the library, you might have seen it as well. I have posted a spring reading bingo challenge for anyone that would like to participate between now and May 21st. There is a bingo game, and it can be for any books that you've read during this school year, and any reading that you do between now and the 21st of May. It's completing a row of bingo. It can be horizontal or vertical or diagonal. There's even a four corners option as well, as you can see in those directions. And it's just to encourage you to do some reading, everything from reading outside for 15 minutes to reading a book that became a movie. Maybe it's turning the captions on a favorite movie or TV show and reading those. So if you decide that you'd like to participate, and I hope that you do, you can find this link on Schoology, or you can visit our homepage. It is there, and you can download it to Notability. Fill it out, drop it in an email to me. My email's listed there on that homepage, and you can send it my way by the 21st to be eligible for some prizes. Good luck, have fun. Let me know if you have any questions, and I hope that encourages some more reading for you in these spring months. We do have the Scholastic Book Fair that's coming in the month of May. There will be some books available to you for sale May 10th through the 14th. And I'll have more information coming out to you and your teachers about that very soon. I'm excited that we can offer that in person this time around, and just stay tuned for more info on that. Also, a note for you that at the end of the month, all of our library books and materials are going to be due back by Friday, May 28th. You might already have all of your books turned in at the moment, and of course I'm hoping you're going to be checking out a lot more between now and then. But if you also have books that are overdue from your elementary school, or books that were due back, say earlier this year, and maybe you've been getting those notices about the books being due, we do want to get those back. We want to get your records cleaned up. We want to help you get that all nice and taken care of before you head off for summer break. So be aware that Friday, May 28th is that deadline. We're hoping to get everybody taken care of that way. Check under your beds, in your cars, in backpacks, things like that. And if you have any of those materials that are overdue in particular, let's get those back so that we can get them turned in, back on the shelves, and ready so that your record is clear for summer vacation. All right, to get into our books today, the first one I'm sharing is a brand new book to our library. I'm excited about this one. It's called From the Desk of Zoe Washington. In this book, I'm going to let you see a trailer for this story to tell you a little bit about the book. This is about a young girl who has a love of baking, and some of you might be able to relate. Let's take a look.
Zoe has a plan. That is to be a contestant on the Kids Bake Challenge show on Food Network. Her parents even arranged an internship with a local bakery to prove she's serious. The pressure is on since she's not talking with her best friend Trevor, but things get even more complicated when she gets a letter from her father Marcus. He is in jail for a terrible crime, but he says he's innocent. Soon Zoe goes on a journey to the past for clues to the truth. What she will find will change her family forever. Find out what happens in From the Desk of Zoe Washington by Janae Marks.
I can't wait for you to read this book to find out exactly how Zoe handles this connection with her dad, finding out what she thinks about this notion that he says he is innocent in jail, how it connects with this piece of who she is, and wanting to be on the Food Network show. Just a really cool story, and one that I think you're going to enjoy a lot. The Puzzling World of Winston Breen by Eric Berlin. This story is perfect for those of you that love to solve any kind of brain teaser, word puzzle. If you love riddles, this is your next book. It's a really quick read. It's about a kid named Winston, obviously, and he thinks the only thing better than solving puzzles himself is trying to stump somebody else, right? Get them to not be able to solve it. Well, a sister comes across this puzzle that she can't solve, and she brings it home, and he can't solve it either. It's this collection of strips of wood, has a bunch of words and letters on it, and he can't do it, and his family can't, and his friends can't, and they become kind of caught up in this puzzle, and it sets them off on this scavenger hunt, this treasure hunt, to try to figure out what exactly this puzzle is leading them to. Turns out there is a great prize involved, thousands of dollars at the end of all this, but they've got to put together all of these clues, solve all of these riddles and puzzles along the way. The thing I love about this book is that you, as the reader, get to try and solve the puzzles with them. At the back of the book, there are the answers to these puzzles. So if you're kind of impatient, like I can be, you might want to look at some of the answers and figure them out. But if you want to find out the answers along with the characters, you can do so. And it's really fun, I think, to try and see if you can figure it out in the few pages that it takes the characters to get there. You might solve some of them before the characters do. And isn't that a great thing about reading a mystery story? I think so. Can you solve it before the characters put the clues together? Lots of fun. It's really kind of neat to see how these characters, piece these things together, and can they figure it out to get to the treasure? You got to read this book to find out. Getting Air by Dan Gutman is, as you can see, a story about skateboarding. And you'd think this would be in our sports section for that reason. Well, it's really only about skateboarding to a certain extent. It's about a couple of guys, Jimmy, David, and Henry. They are skateboarders, and they're skateboarders to really a pretty great extent. They don't just skateboard for fun. They are working toward a professional level. They are on summer vacation. They're flying out to California. They're going to be able to compete in a skateboarding competition out there, and they are so excited. Well, on this flight out to California, the plane is hijacked by terrorists. There are people aboard this plane. They take the plane hostage, and these kids somehow manage to land the plane, that's right, with these terrorists on board. I don't want to give it all away because it's really a pretty incredibly exciting scene. But these guys managed to land this plane as it basically crashes to the ground. This book becomes quite the adventure story, and the reason it is in the adventure section is that they are now in the middle of nowhere. They have little to no food. They don't know where they are. It's pretty unreal that they've even survived this plane crash, and they have to figure out how on earth they're going to make it back home, and if they're even going to make it at all. Are they going to survive because they are in a place where there aren't any people? This story changes very quickly from a bunch of skateboarders heading off for a great competition to a life or death survival story. Read this book to find out how it's going to go. It's by Dan Gutman. It's called Getting Air, and it's just a terrific survival story. If you're looking for something more realistic, Izzy Willy-Nilly by Cynthia Voigt is a great story of a girl in high school who has it all together. or at least from the outside. That's the way it seems. You know, she's got good family and friends who support her. She's a cheerleader at school. She is dating a senior in high school, so she's, you know, dating an upperclassman. And it all seems to be going quite smoothly. But it all changes one day when she gets into a terrible car accident and loses a leg. Her life is completely upended because things are now very different than they were before. She has to adjust to having only one leg now, and that changes obviously her day-to-day life. But she also realizes her friends and family don't know how to act around her anymore. Things that used to take no time at all of a sudden do. The things that used to be no big deal are now incredibly challenging. And this is that story of someone's life changing in very big ways, literally overnight. If you like a realistic story where someone is faced with a problem, this book should be your next read. Graphic novels are always popular in our library for good reason, and many of you have perhaps read some of those I Survived books in the adventure section. We have tons of those chapter books, and they are always a hit by Lauren Tarshish. We have a few of the graphic novels there, and I'll share with you a quick book trailer for this graphic novel, I Survived the Nazi Invasion, 1944.
A favorite I Survived book is now a thrilling graphic novel. Forced to live in a Jewish ghetto in the middle of World War II, Max Rosen and his sister Zena struggle to stay alive after the Nazis take their father away. They have no money or food, and the soldiers make sure no one leaves the ghetto. When the two make a daring escape through the nearby forest, they're rescued by brave Jewish resistance fighters. But suddenly, grenades are falling all around them. Can the siblings escape the Nazi soldiers? And will they ever see Papa again? Find out in I Survived the Nazi Invasion, 1944. Look for the graphic novel at your Scholastic Book Fair.
If you've never read an I Survived book before or the graphic novels, and again, we have both. We have the chapter books and we have a few of the graphic novels. They are a great combination of historical fiction and adventure. They pull together these historical events and they highlight all the adventurous things that come along with it. Of course, the graphic novels illustrate those with the pictures too. Check them out either in the adventure section of our library or in the graphic novel section. Take a look at both. Speaking of the adventure section, I'm going to share as my last book one of my favorites from that area of the library, and that is Abduction by Peg Carrot. This story is a kidnapping story. It's about a girl and her brother, and they attend a school where the elementary school and the middle school, if I'm remembering correctly, it's been a while since I've read this book, I think they are connected to each other, kind of similar to the way that Southview Elementary is connected to Valley here. Bonnie is sitting in class when a teacher comes into the classroom and asks her if she has seen her brother Matt. And Bonnie's confused because Matt was in his classroom earlier that day, attended elementary school. She doesn't know why they're asking and comes to find out that Matt left at some point from his classroom to go use the bathroom and never came back. They've searched the whole elementary school. They can't find him. They start looking through the middle school. They can't find him either. For good reason, of course. Bonnie and everyone is incredibly worried. A police dog traces Matt's scent to the curb, where apparently Matt got into a vehicle of some sort. This story becomes a kidnapping story. It's very quickly determined that Matt didn't get into this car for a willing reason, but he was abducted, taken, and Bonnie becomes part of this investigation, and it becomes a pretty dangerous story as well. If you want to find out what happened to Matt, how Bonnie gets involved, this story would be a terrific book to read. It's called Abduction, and it's by Peg Carrot. I hope that one of the books I shared today might be your next read, or maybe a book that I've shared with you earlier this year. I suppose if we added all the books up, I've likely shared somewhere between 40 and 50 different titles with you throughout this school year, and I hope that maybe something has struck an interest with you. Or, of course, you can always go to that Destiny Discover button on our library homepage. You can do that browsing yourself on your iPad and look at books there. You can send a message to me on Schoology and ask for a recommendation, or of course, stop down here to the library and ask for some help too. You have over a month still to be checking out great books from the library before we're going to want those books back. So please make use of that, find something great to read, and thanks so much for your attention. Happy reading.